YouTube says it has had enough of vaccine misinformation on its site.
And false stories from phony sites to run circles around major news outlets.
Many people don't know the difference between something real and something created to deceive them.
Open your eyes.
If you've ever had this feeling that something was terribly wrong with the world that we live in, but you couldn't figure out just what it was, then you've come to the right place. Secret societies, mystery religions, and the Illuminati have been controlling our reality since the beginning of time. But not anymore, because there is an awakening happening, and you are about to become a part of it. Wake up, because this is a call for an uprising.
When I'm gone, you're all going to be broke. Your business model is going to be finished. No, it's true. When I'm not around, you're going to be broke. There's not going to be anybody to report on to show just how much I care about the press. And I want to save your ratings. I'm pleased to announce my intention to, and this is somewhat of a scoop, my intention to run for a fourth term as President of the United States. I will be doing that. I will be having an official, in fact, I think I have, I won 3 times. Now I'm going to do it again. Thank you. I'm going to do it. Should be easy. I'm getting very good at running for president. No, I won 3 times, did very well the second time, by the way. It's a rigged election, but we don't have to talk about it.
This is a call for an uprising. Welcome to today's show. Of course, we know how these wicked people in positions of power love to use humor to deflect and reveal the truth. And this is probably the 100th time I've covered Donald Trump referencing running for a third term, the Trump 2028 hat that he put on, talking about potentially running once again for office. And I want to get into detail in this video, not necessarily about Trump once again announcing that he's running for office, but about a tweet put out by the White House, which spoofs the television series Ricky and Morty. And I will get into that in a minute, and you will want to see it, because when you reference something like Ricky and Morty, which most people who follow my channel probably don't know what it is, unless, of course, you've seen me cover during Pizzagate, Ricky and Morty and the creator Dan Harmon. Well, this just shows you how the real truth is being revealed in front of you, because anybody with common sense, anybody out there who knows how these pedos operate, would be highly alarmed if they were paying attention to the White House referencing a guy who made a short story about him literally raping a child. And I will show you all of this in a moment, but I want to remind you, when it comes to Trump, again, running for office, or again, pretending to run for office, because this is a monarchy, ladies and gentlemen. Your vote does not count. And if you haven't figured that out in 2026, how they're trying to bait you into thinking that your vote does count, but all these illegals and all these wicked government officials are messing up the balloting, so your vote isn't actually, guess what? Your vote never counted. It doesn't count. It's part of social engineering, giving you the illusion that your vote and you actually matter and you're in power, because if the people realize how many of us there are versus them, and they realize that these people were continuing to cause division and then put themselves in position of power without actually being elected, well, there'd be a massive uprising, no pun intended. Now, in regards to Trump, once again running, if you haven't seen my videos on the last president, the Ingersoll Lockwood book, who once again, Ingersoll Lockwood has the Baron Trump collection. And in that, of course, he talks about the last president who follows a populist presidential victory, nationwide civil unrest, and the collapse of the federal government. And remember, what's happening in America is the transition from the illusion of a republic into the reality of a technocracy. That is what you are seeing built out, where people will be more willing to accept a government that is run via AI, via technology, which is run by, people that we trust who are really, really smart, like Elon Musk, versus these wicked politicians who are all kind of hard to trust or believe. Well, we can trust in the science, we can trust in the technology, and of course, they've made people so obsessed and addicted to their technology, they don't even realize that is exactly what is coming. And they're going to accept that eventually. But first, they need to, of course, get persuaded as they are and manipulated into accepting a digital ID, which is why we hear all these psyops about illegals voting, and suddenly Democrats are fine with people from third world countries coming to America and voting because it's the only way they can win elections. They've created all of that narrative so that you get so angry you will accept a digital ID, and once you accept a digital ID, the game is over. Because then the laws start to change over time. Of course, at first you think the digital ID is there just to make sure illegals can't vote, and you don't realize it's actually there to monitor what you do and say online and hold you accountable and eventually prosecute you and put you in prison for websites you look at, things you say online, people you listen to online, which of course will include this channel, but this channel will no longer be around when a digital ID is fully in place. And we've seen the program again with Trump acting like a king, the No Kings protests, all this stuff. The laws that they're trying to pass, I've covered this as well, constitutional amendments to allow Trump a third term. They've been talking about this, the HD Resolution 29, which would allow him to run for a third term. And of course, what people are forgetting about of Trump running again for a third term would open the door for Barry Soetoro, Barack Obama, to run against him. And they've built this feud up like a wrestling event, like a WrestleMania, which I have videos on over the last decade or so, where these two are supposedly pit against each other, the questioning of his birth certificate and all these other things that they put out there. And of course, right in front of your face, like they did at the Jimmy Carter funeral or fake funeral, they sit there and they laugh and do duping delight in front of you, pretending to be enemies, of course, on the world stage. But in reality, these two are doing exactly what they're told to do. And with the removal of the 22nd Amendment, it would open the door for Obama versus Trump, a WrestleMania-like scenario where one of them would be in office once again. And of course, that is what we're headed towards. So the White House, which it often, in this bizarre world we live in, it's hard to imagine, 30 years ago even speaking of Jimmy Carter, in those types of days, the 70s and 80s, presidents and White Houses putting out tweets of cartoons. But it shows you, again, the reality we live in, where our society is so dumbed down. The previous generations, of course, which includes my generation and pretty much includes everybody's generation out there, the parenting has, the parents out there spoiled their children. Their children are now 40 and 50, still going to Disney World, still acting like children, still buying their childhood toys. All these things are, if you study psychology, are all forms of regression, even though, of course, anybody out there who does those things will say, oh, Carl, you're being a jerk, you're being a dick, you're being judgmental because I wanted to go buy my Ninja Turtles, even though I'm 50 years old, because it makes me feel good on the inside. The point that I'm making is that you shouldn't be buying and doing those things because you shouldn't psychologically be feeling that way, but you are, because it's a form of psychological regression. People regress and go back to things that make them comfortable from their childhood when faced with massive conflict. And if you haven't noticed, as a society, we're faced with massive conflict. The government is stripping us all of our rights every single day. They're squeezing us at the grocery store, at the gas pumps. Everybody's seeing it in their bank accounts. And instead of a society of people uniting and uprising against it, of course, we have been strategically divided against one another, and most people don't want to, nor can they, face these types of things like societies have in the past to stop it from continuing to happen. So instead, people are reverting to childhood. So when the White House posts a cartoon, most of these adults are thinking it's great, it's funny. I mean, we even have Adult Swim, which is cartoons geared towards adults, right? And you go, well, come on, man, don't get on me because I watch cartoons. That's not fair for you to say. Well, I'm not judging you on anything that you do. That's not my job to do. I'm telling you what they have done to society. And if you study psychology and you see how people behave and you see all of these tendencies that adults have towards behaving like children, you start to realize why we're in the mess that we're in. So the White House posted this cartoon I'm going to play for you, okay? And it is a Ricky and Morty style video. So this is important for multiple reasons. Of course, there's constant references to Donald Trump and pedophilia. We know all of the government leaked information on Jeffrey Epstein, right? Democrats believe Trump's a pedo. Republicans refuse to believe it, but they believe everybody that they don't like is a pedo. The reality is that they're all pedophiles. All of these people are. They're all involved in witchcraft, black magic, which all of the stuff I've covered on this channel in the past with Aleister Crowley all goes back to child sacrifice and sexual magic, black magic rituals that Crowley practiced, that they practice and partake in to this day. So the White House is sharing a video of Ricky and Morty. That's the equivalent of like the White House sharing a video that, you know, would have James Alefontis in it, pretty much, right? Because if you understand Ricky and Morty, right, you go, oh, Ricky and Morty, right? Well, Ricky and Morty, the White House is pretty much saying, we're going to make our own Ricky and Morty and pay homage to Ricky and Morty, right? The cartoon show, which is an adult animated sci-fi sitcom, okay, about a cynical and genius alcoholic mad scientist, his good-hearted but anxious grandson. They split their time between chaotic interdimensional adventures across infinite realities and mundane family life. So you have even the referencing there to the lifting of the veil, interdimensional travel, these things that we're going to have revealed to us and be told that these are aliens and things. But as I've mentioned, they've little by little start talking about interdimensional travel, which are really demons and demonic possession and these things, which again, go back to Aleister Crowley as well. So Ricky and Morty, I've covered this in the past. These are images from the show where you see the Baphomet, the goat worship, even the pyramid, the all-seeing eye on top. And of course, what is that star on the pyramid? Well, we all know what that star is, of course. That's the star of Remphan. But what I want to show you here is the creator of the show, Ricky and Morty, and his name is Dan Harmon. And nobody ever mentions Dan Harmon, right? Because remember, people only call out people that they don't like. If somebody's on their team, this is how they set the world up, right? If somebody's a Republican and they're somehow tied into all this stuff with Pizzagate or pedophilia or Epstein, psyop, if they're tied into it, they overlook it because they say, well, he's on our team. So anything with Elon Musk and pedophilia, right? Anything, nobody questions Elon Musk, how he is a transgender child. All he does is tweet about anti-transgender, and nobody goes, hey, is this guy working us? Is he working us into brain chips and all this other stuff while he's pretending to placate to our emotions? Because we all think it's crazy that, people are turning their 3-year-olds into the opposite gender and John Bobbiting their sons. I mean, nobody pays attention to it because if the guy placates to your team, the left or the right, they get a free pass, right? So all of these conservatives who are clearly linked to all of these things involving pedophilia always get a free pass, right? Now, I don't know what stance Dan Harmon has, but I do know that a lot of conservatives like these types of shows, Ricky and Morty, right? Family Guy, all this stuff where you see so many things, right, with those types of shows that reveal truth, The Simpsons, etc. But let me get into this for you. So the White House is referencing Ricky and Morty. It's openly out there. They say, the White House made a cringy Ricky and Morty type cartoon, and it uses the same type of animation as Ricky and Morty, as you will see in the clip. But before I show you the White House's clip and we look at some of the stuff that's revealed in it, why don't we look at Dan Harmon? This guy is walking the streets, ladies and gentlemen. He hasn't been arrested. He hasn't been questioned by police. I mean, look, you could sit here, you could say what you want. Well, if you make a video and it's comical, etc., how could you be arrested for? Well, that's what they've allowed the world to turn into. Everything's a big joke. But in reality, if somebody made the video I'm about to show you in the 1800s, and even if they said, hey, I was just joking around or whatever, the person would have suffered what we call private justice, and they wouldn't have been around the next day to talk about it or explain their actions because there wouldn't have been a trial. This is the creator of Ricky and Morty, okay, Dan Harmon. And I'm going to show you this. This is a video that he made prior to that show taking off, becoming really, really popular. This is supposedly comedy. This is one of the most disturbing clips you will ever see. I showed this previously on this channel, had the video deleted, so I wouldn't be surprised if this gets deleted, but that's why I have the website at callfornuprising.com. And I'm taking this opportunity since they're talking about Ricky and Morty. The White House is referencing it to show you the creator of the show. This is something that he put out for the world to see. You find humor in this, ladies and gentlemen?
Dan Harmon, you're about to watch my controversial new pilot, Daryl. Now, I have to warn you, I originally made it with Showtime for their audience because it's a little groundbreaking for normal people to handle. But maybe you'll surprise me. Good luck.
I don't know, Doctor. My wife just had a baby, and I had this dream last night where I was a fish, and I looked up and I saw myself on the boat.
Well, Admiral, our time is up. I think the best thing for you to do would be to go home, tuck that baby in, and get yourself a good night's sleep.
Okay, thanks a lot, Doctor.
No, Admiral, thank you.
All right, it's bedtime.
Thank you for being such a good patient.
Sleep tight, okay?
For taking all the sleeping pills I prescribed to you. So that later tonight, when I'm crawling in your window, I can count on you to sleep like a baby.
while I do everything but sleep with yours. I know that I'm a monster, but am I really so different from you? Who's the real monster? Okay, it's me. I have to stop.
So how this guy is walking the streets among us and his show is still allowed to air. And you might say, well, he hasn't committed a crime. It's just, well, I would look into an investigation into the guy's background if he's making videos about raping an infant child. Okay, this is a child in a cradle for the appears to be a 6-month-old, and that's what these people are involved in, right? And these are the black magic Crowley rituals I mention all the time, right? But he makes the video, and people go, well, that's art, it's comedy, so they get a free pass, right? Meanwhile, people are getting canceled all over the place for the last decade now, right? Channels like mine have been deleted and others, right? But we're not going to cancel Ricky and Morty because this guy put out a video like this, or how about some of the James Gunn tweets that I covered over the years during Pizzagate? Right? Or some of these guys like the guy who on the TV show The Office who played Dwight Schrute, right? Rainn Wilson. The videos I've done on him, the tweets that they've put out, they still are out there working. Nobody's canceled them because, well, it doesn't fit into the narrative of what cancel culture is supposed to be, which is suppressing free speech for people like me and you who are exposing who these people really are and the connections to Aleister Crowley and the connections to the occult and Satanism and Freemasonry, right? So Dan Harmon is out there. This is a guy, that video that you just saw is one of the most disturbing things I've ever seen in my life. I'm not just saying that for the sake of this video. I remembered it specifically. The second I saw the White House post, I said, I need to put that back out there because people need to see that. I don't want to turn your stomachs or make you angry, but of course that's the natural reaction to anyone who's human who sees that. And if your reaction isn't that and you laugh, well, you probably deserve a 2x4 across the back of the head. You know what I'm saying? Okay? Because that is not comedy. It's disgusting. It's disturbing. And in no other time period would any society have allowed anybody to joke about a manner like that. But of course, the world has gotten so sick, so depraved that people literally are walking around naked. People are cutting off their own dicks. I mean, that's the insanity we live in. So people can actually make a cartoon, a short video like that, and not only make it, have one of the biggest, whatever you want to call Ricky and Morty. It's a very popular animation show that makes a lot of money. So the show hasn't been canceled. He hasn't been canceled, and that's out there for the world to see. And not only that, the White House is actually referencing it, right? They're not referencing it saying, hey, Donald Trump's not going, hey, I saw this guy Dan Harmon's clip who makes Ricky and Morty. He should be under indictment. We should investigate him because that's really sick thinking. It's people who think like that should be in institutions. No, not at all. We're going to pay homage to it and make our own cool version of it, right? So speaking of which, after you get that and try to digest what I just showed you because it's enough to make anyone sick for a long time, let me show you now this clip that the White House posted, which, again, it's in the same animation as Ricky and Morty. As you see the articles that they're saying, it's Ricky and Morty type animation from the White House. I want you to watch this because there's a little bit of a theme in here we're going to break down with some of the stuff that they show you because we know they reveal themselves in these types of clips where nobody's really paying attention to what they're even seeing in the first place. But, again, the White House paying homage to Dan Harmon's show. I mean, you can't make it up. So again, you can see the whole MAGA, Make America Great. I mean, this is just basic mind control, right? They show you this right in the beginning. You get these people, their brain waves lowered because that's what happens when you watch these shows. You lower your brain waves and you're getting programmed. It's no different than going under hypnosis, right? People are like, hypnotism, is that real? Oh yeah, it's real. They take your brain waves down to a certain level, usually a delta or even lower, and then you're able to be programmed. And that's what the television is. And you might say, I don't own a TV. Good thing. Well, it's the same thing on the phone, okay? The phone, the internet, whatever you're looking at, you're under hypnotism and they're programming you. So, of course, at the beginning, they show you Make America Great Again, the Diet Coke. This immediately gets their brainwaves completely flattened to where they're not critically thinking at all what they're looking at. Then right after that, they show you 1 + 1 + 1 = 3. Might as well say 33 because there's a little 33 code right in front of your faces. We all know 33, of course, is the most significant number to the occult, other than, of course, numbers like 666, which are very common, although you'll meet many Christians these days who have no idea what the number 666 even is, which is pretty frightening. And why, they see people with it tattooed on them, or Satanists wear shirts with the number. They have no idea. They think it's something to do with like Ozzy. Does it have to do with heavy metal music, man? No, it has to do with the Antichrist, the beast. You aware? No, they're not. And 33, of course, another number they dismiss, but when you pay attention to things like numerology and numbers like 33, then your eyes really open up because you start to see 33 everywhere, right? Because 33 and all these false flag shooting events, we always see 33, whether it's 33 victims, the guy was 33, the address was 33, there are 33 floors in the building, 33 bullets. They always put the number 33 and they don't stop because they know that even though it's so obvious to people like us that the rest of the world will hear people like us and they'll be like, oh, that guy's schizophrenic. Oh, that guy's a nut job. That guy needs to seek therapy. He's seeing 33 everywhere. No, it's just because you're not seeing it because you don't know how these people communicate and operate, right? They operate and communicate like a gang. And again, 33, 1/3 of the fallen angels, that's what it represents, 33, the highest degree in Freemasonry. The age, of course, 33 is believed to be the age that Jesus Christ was crucified. And as you might have noticed, again, when they show you the planets and all this stuff, they give you the depiction of what is Earth, really, which looks like it's on fire. Again, we're not getting into a debate about the shape of the Earth here. This is the depiction of what they're showing you Earth is, right? Because everyone's been trained, the Earth is round, blah, blah, blah. But do you notice the rings around Earth? What do you think that is, right? Their obsession with Saturn, for people out there that don't know, because, Saturn's another symbol that doesn't get enough attention, okay? So you see a stylized cartoon Earth with Saturn-style rings shown around it. And if you pay attention, you'll see Saturn everywhere, okay? Elon Musk, Grok, what's the logo? Saturn, right? How many companies with Saturn? Saturn, again, the secret god of the occult world. Saturn, Satan, the worship is everywhere. And it's not just Saturn cars. So you might say Saturn, the only thing I think of is Saturn, Sega Saturn, Saturn the car. Well, look for the rings, okay? The ring, another symbol. The swoosh, right? How about Capital One? They got the little swoosh. Wouldn't you say that's the symbol for Nike, or the ring around E for Internet Explorer or DirecTV? Again, Acts chapter 7, verse 43. Yea, ye took up the tabernacle of Moloch and the star of your god Remphan, figures which ye made to worship them, and I will carry you away beyond Babylon. You can see the symbolism with Saturn's cube and the star of Remphan, which you've been told, of course, is a different star that you're not allowed to question. And if you say anything about that specific star, you're anti-Christian and you're anti-you-know-what. Right? Because Christians, of course, have believed that that is the Star of David. They couldn't be less informed. But the black cube of Saturn, again, you will see, for anyone out there confused, let's just simplify it, okay? The swoosh thing you see with Nike, the ring, Saturn's ring. What do you think wedding bands and wedding rings, the symbology is? What, do you see the ring in the Bible, the wedding ring? Have you read the Bible and be like, it's normal to have a wedding ring? These are things that nobody questions in society. Nobody. They're just like, oh, you're weird if you don't have, some people don't wear a wedding. It's like, why don't you even question the fact that there is a wedding ring? Where is the actual origin of the ring, right? But we could digress, as they say, when we go into detail about the ring, because that's not what this video is necessarily about. But even in terms of Saturn's ring, think about wedding bands, wedding rings, right? But the symbol, the Saturn symbolism is in things like Nike, the swoosh. Nobody says, is that a check mark underneath? No, it is the ring around it. You see the ring in all these, Intel, you see it in DirecTV, Bud Light, Dish Network, all over the place. Saturn, Nissan, Whirlpool, Capital One, even Boeing, right? And the celebrity's obsession with it as well. Adele, right? Anyone remember Adele and some of those songs that would make your ears bleed? Well, Adele, of course, this is just coincidental, on her 33rd birthday, ladies and gentlemen, got a tattoo of Saturn on her body, right? That's a big coincidence. There it is, right on her wrist, and then has the Saturn earrings. I mean, I guess in science class, she was just like, I really think that's cool that planet that we're told is a planet, and, in reality, these are occult gods and goddesses, but I think it's really neat. So I'm going to be so obsessed with it. I'm going to get it tattooed on my body, and I'm going to wear it on my ears during performances. Oh, yeah, let's start using our brains and thinking here, folks. Emma Watson, same thing on her 33rd birthday. What a coincidence. She gives Saturn a nod as she marks 33. Put up a big tweet about Saturn, and, and people out there are like, man, all Emma Watson and Adele want to do is get on a rocket ship. And before they fly up each other's Uranus, they want to stop at Saturn because they think it's really pretty in the pictures that they've seen, the fake pictures of Saturn, right? I mean, you don't find it, was your brain starting to go, yeah, it's pretty strange, 33, the occult number 33, that they both are paying homage to Saturn on their 33rd birthdays, right? Or when you just go into Beyonce, right, wearing the Saturn earrings, or that nut job, Lady Barfbag, Gaga, wearing, going on TV shows, right? Again, this is how you're trained. You're trained to look at these people and say, oh, they're artistic, they're quirky. So she could dress up, wearing this on her head. You're not supposed to think anything of it, right? Meanwhile, 9,000 of the images you see of Gaga are putting a hand over her eye, holding up to 666, being covered in blood or black goo, or even like the story I covered in the UK where maids came into Lady Gaga's hotel room, and that's another video they scrubbed off the internet, and found a bathtub filled with blood. But no, she's not in the occult. That's not a witch, ladies and gentlemen. She's just some quirky, weird-looking, long-nosed member of the synagogue of Satan, right? Even Michael Jackson with the ring symbolism. And from Ariana Grande to SZA, why are they all singing about Saturn's return? Katy Perry with the tattoo of Saturn. You seeing the repetition here? Singing on Saturn at a concert. Miley Cyrus has Saturn tattooed on its arm, right? Kesha, right? These are all people, again, connected to Pizzagate, occult worship. Other celebrities with it. Even the Saturn Awards I covered at one point, right? There's an award show, the Saturn Awards, right? You know many of these bogus award shows, but they actually got Steven Spielberg to show up and James Cameron to hold up their trophies, right? Right? These are guys who might not even show up at the Oscars, but they showed up for their Pita Award at the Oscars. They showed up for their Saturn Awards. It's in front of us. It's everywhere, right? So, again, back to the cartoon skit. You had the 33, 1 + 1 + 1 = 3, and then they show you, of course, the Earth, what we're supposed to believe is the Earth, with the rings around it, and nobody says, boo. And as it continues on with Saturn worship, don't forget Taylor Swift is a moon and a Saturn tattoo on its wrists as well. And what does that cause? This is why I'm showing you this, because again, these are the social engineers. They're getting society to partake in satanic rituals, to not realize that they're even, wearing satanic imagery on their clothing. This is stuff I've covered talking about the goat, right? Getting people to call each other the goat. Oh, that's the goat. Debating the goat. Normalizing the goat. The Baphomet, right? Hundreds of Taylor Swift fans in Australia get inked in her honor ahead of her Eras show. They all got tattoos, the same one she has. They all got Saturn tattoos on their wrists because Taylor has it, right? So now they're marking themselves, right, with the beast, literally, so to speak, and not in terms of taking the mark of the beast. But of course, what I'm saying is these people are doing bloodletting rituals, getting tattoos because their celebrities are, and they're getting the same one. So they're literally getting indoctrinated with the occult and occult worship, and they don't realize it at all because they're under hypnotism, right? And again, in 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 4, in whom the God of this world hath blinded the minds of them which believe not, lest the light of the glorious gospel of Christ, who is the image of God, should shine unto them. The God of this world has blinded, as we see many, many Bible verses talk about the God of this age blinding the minds of his unbelievers in 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 4. So then they go on, of course, and show us an alien depiction. Again, this is this common theme. People don't realize they've been shown so much stuff with UFOs and aliens over here. They've been indoctrinated to the point they actually are ready for the government to reveal it to them because they think it's some big hidden secret. The government's, they've been hiding UFOs here and there, and propaganda pieces they put out. The more they tell you it's hush-hush, the government doesn't want you to know, the more people are like, we want to know, right? Can't have, it's like being told you can't have it, you want it, right? So they've been working people for decades now with movies, Independence Day, all think about all the alien propaganda movies that have been out there. So they've convinced themselves aliens are real, but the reality of the matter is that aliens are actually demons, and they're normalizing this by giving you a fake fictional background of interdimensional travel of these aliens, but the reality is they're demons, and if people realize this was a spiritual war, well, there'd be a massive actual enlightenment occurring, and more people, of course, would believe in Jesus Christ, and more people would realize that these people who pretend to believe in Christ, like Donald Trump and these other politicians, are in fact worshipers of the Antichrist. So they show you again the UFO. Of course, the aliens are depicted as demons in this clip, right? They even have wings showing you the fallen ones, right? And they use, of course, is how they placate to the stupid, dumbed down people out there, again, who will defend the Ricky and Morty. They'll see the baby clip. They'll be like, that doesn't have anything to do with Trump. Nothing to do with Donald Trump. He doesn't post on the White House thing. And he's not paying homage to it. He's making fun of it. He's saying they're gonna put them in Guantanamo Bay, right? That's the reality that these people are living in. They think that all these people have been, Trump's already taken care of them all. I mean, they're in a deep psychosis, the QAnon psychosis, which, again, these people, they're like, hey, there's a fake person called Q. He's revealing all this information to you. He's a government insider. And they believe it. Right, yeah, he wouldn't have been whacked. This guy, they couldn't find out who he is. He has too good of a VPN for the government who created and controls the internet to find him, right? I mean, these people are true suckers, ladies and gentlemen. Might as well have it tattooed right on their butt cheeks. So they show the demons again going after Trump and Vance as they escape the demons. And then we get everybody's favorite synagogue of Satan member, Chuck Schumer, standing, of course, in Congress. You can see the dimensions and the portals, which is another thing that they've normalized with the portals going up in New York and Philadelphia, Dublin, that I've covered. Portals, showing you this stuff in movies like Harry Potter. They're normalizing this and interdimensional travel. These are things that are actually government documented, which is the most frightening part, is that people are like, oh, it's conspiracy stuff. Oh, yeah, well, why would the CIA be investigating and doing these things like telekinesis, telepathy, interdimensional travel, space, they call it space travel, but really time travel, all this type of stuff, right? The stuff we've seen at CERN, the Mandela effect. I mean, we can go down a really deep conversation because it's not much of a rabbit hole anymore about these topics, but let's continue. He takes, of course, his face off to reveal that he's a robot, which, again, is more truth in plain sight, right? People think it's a joke for us to even talk about, well, Joe Biden could have been a Tesla bot, right? I've shown the videos of him walking exactly like a Tesla bot. Now, remember, all the technology that they show us is far more advanced than they actually reveal to us. So just imagine when you see some of the AI deepfakes we see now, how realistic they are. Oh, theirs is so ironclad that they literally can take any one of us and show us committing a crime we didn't commit, frame us, and have us put in jail for the rest of our lives, which they intend on doing to many of us in the future. I'm sure I'm probably on that list, but they don't have to worry about me. I won't be around for that much longer. But there he is with his face off, again, showing you that he's actually a robot, or potentially more so an actual demon. And then they give you MAGA at the very end, of course, and that's all it takes. That's part of the mind control, right? From beginning clip to end clip, you got your Make America Great Again hat, and the MAG at the end, and that's all the sheep will actually see. They won't question about. Even the government themselves referencing this Adult Swim cartoon show created by a guy who shows himself in that clip, maybe one of the most disturbing clips that's out there that you could see on a celebrity who's joking about, right? We're supposed to believe it's a joke, right? Well, if somebody comes up with that type of an idea, okay, there's something obviously deeply rooted wrong with them. But more so should occur to them. They shouldn't be, if I'm not allowed to talk online about the occult, numerology, signs and symbols of the Illuminati, if people like us during COVID were all shut down and had to make new channels and try to navigate, we're all demonetized, can't make a dime off of, 20 hours of work to do a video, can't even make $5, right? Well, why is it that people like him have the right to free speech and could show you, hey, I'm going to sneak into a guy's house and I'm going to rape a baby? Oh, that's okay, right? That's art and humor, right? And he's allowed to have a show that makes millions of dollars and everyone's allowed to praise him, right? No cancel culture on that because they love him. They don't want it. You can't go cancel. You don't hear MAGA calling to cancel him because MAGA is probably the audience that watches the actual show. So we have Trump talking about a fourth term, but more importantly to me, because this is a third term, even though he said fourth, referencing the fact he won the election. That's all digital ID programming. Right. Well, I'm really going on my fourth term because I really won the last election and they didn't count it because our votes don't count. We need a digital ID. But the real thing here, because we all have seen it, we all heard about it, which again opens the door for him and Obama is them posting a Ricky and Morton style show where, again, they're showing you the occult symbols, even showing the Artemis in there, which I forgot to mention, right? That whole Artemis psyop of going around the moon. Trump's got all of these suckers in MAGA still believing that we could go to the moon and his Space Force and all this stuff. They don't look into the laundering of money at NASA, what it really actually is. They think we actually could go to the moon, and now we're going to go to Mars, right? You mean Devon Island up there, which you can see my videos on up there in Greenland, where, of course, conveniently we're trying to capture that land. And, of course, Elon Musk, Mr. America now, is trying to get us all to go to Mars. Wow, what a crazy coincidence. That's all the footage they show us of Mars is actually filmed on Devon Island, and NASA even admits to it. But that's the closest NASA's ever been to space anyway, is, in fact, Devon Island. So Trump puts out a clip, or the White House. He'll get defended that he didn't do it. Well, no one's saying that he directly did, but could you imagine? I mean, this is his White House. This is the White House, the official White House Twitter account, paying homage to Ricky and Morty and Dan Harmon, a guy who literally, as I've showed you, just put out one of the most disturbing videos about 20 years ago, 15 years ago now, that I personally think should, lead to an open, well, I won't say what I personally think should occur. How about that? We'll leave it at that. You could use your imagination with Dan Harmon. That's the world we live in now, right? If your guy that I don't like is connected to pedophilia, I will call you out and say you're pedos, you're enablers. But if my team is, I'm going to turn a blind eye. So all the pictures of Trump with Epstein, I'll turn a blind eye to. But I'll constantly call for the Epstein files and Tom Hanks to be arrested and Oprah Winfrey, who are all pedos. But I won't for my team, right? How about we all unite together and realize that these people are all working together. And their goal for division is to make sure that we don't unite because there's many more of us than them. And they're the ones who have oppressed us. They're the ones who continue to make prices through the roof. They're the ones who continue to openly commit mass genocide. Instead, they get you to go, oh, it's okay for them to kill babies in Gaza because I'm on Team Israel. And I don't even realize that they're the synagogue of Satan. The Bible openly tells me that because my churches don't teach me that. Right? Instead of humanity just saying these people are sick, they're wicked, they're twisted, they manipulate us, they play us every day. They're under such psychosis that they actually are more interested in going after their neighbors because they have a flag of the opposite political party than realizing that they're being worked into a deep psychosis. And that's what they're in. So the government posting about Ricky and Morty and Donald Trump hinting again at remaining in office. I thank everybody for being here. Hope you're all doing well. God bless you and your families as always.